XXXTentacion was not just a rapper. He was a symbol of pain, anger, and rebellion. Born as Jose Duane Ricardo Onfroy in 1998, his childhood was filled with chaos. He grew up surrounded by violence, instability, and emotional neglect. From a very young age, Jose struggled with anger issues and mental health problems. Music became his escape. But trouble followed him everywhere. As a teenager, XXXTentacion was repeatedly arrested for violent behavior. Fights in school, street conflicts, and run-ins with police became part of his life story. He wasn't hiding his darkness, he was living inside it. Despite this, his music began spreading online. Raw. Emotional. Unfiltered. Songs about depression, rage, loneliness, and betrayal connected deeply with millions of young listeners who felt the same pain. By 2017, XXXTentacion had become one of the most talked about artists on SoundCloud. But fame did not fix him. Behind the success, serious criminal charges followed him. Allegations of domestic abuse and violent assault painted a disturbing picture. He was in and out of jail, facing possible long prison sentences. The public was divided. Some saw him as a violent criminal. Others saw him as a broken soul trying to change. While his music topped charts, his personal life spiraled. XXXTentacion himself admitted he had done terrible things, and claimed he wanted redemption. But time was running out. Because just as his career reached its peak, his life was about to end. Violently. And suddenly. As XXXTentacion's fame exploded, so did the chaos around him. In 2017, his music dominated streaming platforms. Millions of fans connected to his raw emotions. Concerts sold out. His influence grew rapidly, especially among troubled youth who saw themselves in his lyrics. But behind the scenes, legal problems followed him closely. XXXTentacion faced serious criminal charges, including accusations of domestic violence. Court dates loomed over his career like a shadow. He was placed under house arrest and frequently monitored by authorities. The pressure was intense. Despite this, Jose spoke openly about wanting to change. He talked about personal growth, spirituality, and helping others. Some fans believed he was on a path toward redemption. Others weren't convinced. As his wealth and popularity increased, so did the risks. Expensive jewelry, luxury cars, and public appearances made him an easy target. He had enemies from his past, people who never forgot old conflicts. Friends warned him to be careful. But XXXTentacion believed he was untouchable. In early 2018, he started making plans for the future. He spoke about charity work. He talked about being a better person. He even hinted at fatherhood. Yet danger was moving silently toward him. And the streets were watching. Because when fame meets unresolved violence, it often ends. June 18, 2018. It started like an ordinary day. XXXTentacion left his home in Deerfield Beach, Florida, heading to a motorcycle dealership. He was driving alone, wearing a Louis Vuitton bag and carrying thousands of dollars in cash. No security. No bodyguards. At around 3:56 p.m., as he sat in his car preparing to leave the shop, a dark SUV suddenly blocked his path. Two armed men jumped out. They demanded his bag. Witnesses later said there was a struggle. Then gunshots rang out. 4 shots. XXXTentacion was hit in the neck. The attackers fled within seconds, leaving chaos behind. Bystanders rushed toward the car. Someone tried to help. Someone screamed for an ambulance. But it was already too late. XXXTentacion was pronounced dead at the hospital. He was only 20 years old. The news spread instantly across social media. Fans around the world went into shock. Vigils appeared overnight. Streets filled with tears, candles, and music. Questions flooded the internet. Why was he alone? Why no protection? Was this random, or planned? Police launched an intense investigation. Surveillance footage showed the suspects clearly. This was no accident. This was an ambush. And now, the hunt for the killers had begun. After the murder of XXXTENTACION, Florida police moved fast. Surveillance cameras from nearby stores captured the entire attack. The dark SUV, the suspects' movements, and even their faces were visible. Social media exploded with clips and theories as investigators worked around the clock. Within days, arrests were made. 4 men were charged in connection with the killing. Authorities confirmed it was a planned robbery, not a random act. The suspects had followed XXXTENTACION, waiting for the right moment. The evidence was overwhelming. Video footage. Witness testimonies. Digital traces. As details came out, fans struggled to accept the reality. A global superstar had been taken down in broad daylight, without warning. Meanwhile, XXXTentacion's past returned to the spotlight. His unresolved legal cases. His controversial behavior. His attempts at change. Public opinion was split once again. Some focused on the violence that ended his life. Others reflected on the young man he was becoming before it was cut short. Court proceedings dragged on for years. Each hearing reopened wounds for fans and family alike. But one truth became clear. This was not about music anymore. It was about justice. And about a life that ended far too soon. XXXTentacion's death left a silence that felt unreal. At just 20 years old, his life ended, but his voice didn't. After his passing, his music surged across the world. Albums released posthumously topped charts. Songs about pain, loneliness, and hope suddenly carried a heavier meaning. Fans listened differently now, knowing the man behind the words was gone. But his legacy was complicated. XXXTentacion was not a perfect victim. He was deeply flawed. He carried darkness, and tried to fight it. In his final months, many believed he was changing. He spoke about positivity, mental health, and giving back. He donated to charities. He tried to guide fans away from violence, even while battling his own demons. His murder also sent a warning. Fame does not equal safety. Money attracts danger. Past conflicts don't disappear. The trial of his killers finally brought some justice, but no verdict could bring him back. For millions of fans, XXXTentacion became a symbol. Of pain turned into art. Of youth lost too soon. Of a voice that understood suffering. His story is not just about crime. It's about consequence. And a reminder that time is fragile.